Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Dick Palmer. I'm Principal of City College in Norwich. We're a provider of further and higher education, about 14,000 students right across the curriculum spectrum, from business studies to catering and all things in between. And we came to the entrepreneurship agenda, like many institutions, and as Paul and Andrew's described, and indeed David, looking at the challenge our young people face. And clearly unemployment's a huge issue for young people, and we wanted to give them another string to their bow. We think that FE is a good place to be. Our vocational curriculum lends itself to entrepreneurial behaviour, particularly self-employment and micro small business startup. And we came together with 4 other colleges about 2 years ago to start off something called the GAZELLE initiative. You may have heard of that. And that's now grown, and we mass 20 colleges up and down the country. We have representation in Scotland, Ireland and Wales as well. And our collective ambition, in order to offset this issue around employment and unemployment and opportunities for young people, is to create what we're calling entrepreneurial colleges. And what I'm going to do this afternoon is give you a short example of how that's worked in my college. We're doing it in conjunction with a group of national entrepreneurs, and it's truly an attempt to be a private and public sector partnership. I've got a lot of slides. I know we're already getting on a little bit, so I'll try and be quick. So if any of you suffer from strobes or photo whatever, I apologise. Okay, so we think that colleges are the right place for this. My college, for example, has 1,500 HE students as well as 14,000 FE students. But we think genuinely that the FE curriculum, as I mentioned, lends itself to a startup environment. And as the other speakers have said, our absolute commitment that it's an institutional approach to entrepreneurship. So it's about creating what we call an ecosystem. We've defined our own set of definitions around entrepreneurialism. Paul mentioned a couple of universities in the States. We're working very closely with Babson College in Boston, just down the road from Harvard, which is probably the leading higher education institution in America around entrepreneurship. And we've come up with a set of definitions about what we think entrepreneurship can look like. So it can be about new business, self-employment, participation in a family business, actually being entrepreneurial in the workplace. There's even a term for it, as I'm sure you're all aware, entrepreneur. But also looking at social capital, social enterprises, and indeed developing your own personal capital. That's all about entrepreneurship. So what have we done at the college? Our aim, our aspiration, is to create what we're calling an entrepreneurial ecosystem. That's developing our staff, our students, and indeed the local economy by our engagement with entrepreneurs locally, and you'll see evidence of that in a second. And our fundamental construct to date is that we've created something called a startup lounge. Now, it may sound like just a facility, just another piece of educational infrastructure, but actually it's not. We've invested £1 million. There used to be 14 traditional classrooms. We knocked them all into one. And we've created something we think is unique. It's sort of unique because it's a model we've constructed ourselves at the college. And I'm a lover of alliteration. So we've called it the 6 steps to startup success. And basically, for each of the steps, we've created a physical facility. So the first step is ideation. That's a space where you create ideas. And it's got a digital wall. You write on the wall, it's blue sky thinking, you get teams of people together, we show videos, it starts those sort of creative juices going. Then you go into the second stage, and it's a physical new part of the facility. It's linear. We want to offer this startup model to students starting at level 1. So I wanted to create a facility that was very progressive and obvious and overt. So you physically go into the ideation, you physically go into the next stage, which is research, and that's where you actually check out your idea. Does it have legs? Undertake some labour market, ask some people, try and find out whether the concept can materialise. The third part is called the collaboratorium. Again, we pinched that term from Babson College in the States, and it's a physical space in which you meet people. Technology rich, lots of touch screens. You'll see in a minute we've developed our own software around that. And then the fourth step is you go into what we call consultation. That's where you undertake your business plan. We have partners such as Burkitt's, Mills & Reeve, providing legal advice, Grant Thornton accountants, banks, Santander, Barclays, etc., giving financial advice. Again, it's a suite of rooms, physical entity that you walk into, create your business plan. You come back into the collaboratorium, where you then get mentored by a local entrepreneur. And then finally, you go into our own Dragon's Den, which is we call the studio. You literally go in there, you stick a USB in the wall, it films you, it films your audience, it plays it back to you in the screen, cut into 4. And students can try it out, they can do a pitch with their colleagues. If it's any good, they come back and do a pitch to the staff. If it's really good, we bring in some VCs, and they can pitch too. And they can learn from this just literally by, all they have to do is stick a USB in the wall and press record. And it's interesting that facility has proven invaluable for confidence building, for CV presentations, just getting people ready for that face-to-face stuff. But the space has really turned around our thinking about what an entrepreneurial student can and is able to do. We've also got a startup in residence. We have a number of incubation units in the college. They provide further mentoring, advice and guidance. We've got another space called Interaction. I won't spend any time on that. We've also created something called our Digital Vault. We've commissioned, and it's 3/4 of the way through, our own crowdfunding platform. We've got an angel list of VCs, local VCs that have already committed to investing in student businesses and also to mentoring. So a student who, let's say, they've decided they want to set up a garage in Dereham, in Norfolk, they can go along, go onto the angel list and find an entrepreneur who's had some sort of background in motor vehicle engineering, perhaps a garage owner themselves or whatever. We use bespoke software like Cobra, which gives a lot of labour market information around starting off a new business. We have our own collaborative software, so people can go into the collaboratorium, touch the touch screen, goes into the collaboration software. They can leave a post-it note saying, I'm interested in setting up a hairdresser. Anybody got a chair in their salons in the patch? And people can communicate that way. We've piloted 3 models this year. It's pretty new. Our 3 models are Startup in a Day. As of September, every one of our 16,000 students will go through Startup in a Day. And they'll go through the 6 steps literally in 1 day. We'll set them challenges. As they go through the startup process, we'll chuck in further challenges. So let's say the catering students go in there, we say to them, you've got to set up a restaurant in Thetford. And when they get into the collaboratorium, we chuck in a challenge around, hang on a minute, McDonald's have come in, they want to offer you a franchise. What do you think about that? Also, startup in your course. That's the bigger one. That's where students in groups again come into the startup lounge, probably for an hour a week. They build up a social enterprise company. You'll see in a second we've already established 3 of those. The profits that they make and they get ploughed back in for next year's students. And they create a full-blown community interest or social enterprise company as a living organization. And then thirdly, the third model is you're an individual student. It doesn't matter what curriculum area you're in. You've got a startup idea. You come in and you get an individual package about starting off your own business. So those are the 3 models we've developed. What have we done to date? We had over 2,500 people come through. We've started the lounge. We've established a couple of incubators. We've got 8 student businesses started off, 3 staff businesses, 2 course-based social enterprises, We've commissioned the crowdfunding platform, and we've got 60, that's actually gone up to about 70 now, local entrepreneurs, either on our angel list as potential VCs or as mentors. That's an example of one of our student startups. And they go, and I think this is where FE shows its diversity and how appropriate it is for entrepreneurial behavior in a vocational context. You know, we've gone from things like a mythical tour entertainment company where you wander around the city of Norwich, and by GPS it tells you something about the castle, and then you walk along and it takes you into a game. And you walk along and you go to the cathedral, and it takes you into another tourism section. Through to we have a mobile ice cream parlour and an events company. And actually the latest one, we've got and I'm not sure how it works, but it's a Zen crystals company that works with animals. Norfolk is a rural county, and these guys are setting up something for veterinary services using crystals to diagnose unwell animals. It's interesting. Our school startups, these are the sort of social enterprise initiatives I've talked about, where a bunch of students come together, create a company, all the profits get circulated back into the college for the following year students. We've got 3 of those. The 2 biggest ones are Cocoon and Evoke. Cocoon is a fashion design company, has its own label. It launched as part of Norwich Fashion Week back in February, and that's already put £17,000 back into the budget for next year's fashion and design students to come in and create their own apparel as part of that clothing company. We've hit the press. I think we were one of the first colleges to get into the Times, FE colleges on entrepreneurship. Had a large launch of the facility with something called the Future 50, which are a whole bunch of local entrepreneurs growing businesses for next year. And then finally, we had an amazing launch of the facility around about 3 months ago with a couple of our GAZELLE entrepreneurs, a chap called Ben Ramsden, who runs a company called Pants to Poverty, and Priya Lakhani, who runs Masala Masala. So we've got this core facility now that is part of the college's fabric. We've piloted the models this year, and we're ready for September, in which we're going to engage all of our students. Our premise is that we'll need to change the whole institution. This gives us a physical vehicle to start to drive that. As David has said, and Paul, and I think Andrew, you know, our assumption or our belief is that in order to create an entrepreneurial college, you have to behave entrepreneurially and you have to change the whole institution. So we're talking about creating a brand new curriculum, a completely different set of qualifications. You won't join City College Norwich in the future and do a BTEC National Diploma in Dance. You'll come to City College Norwich and you'll join a production company. And you'll learn how to dance, but you'll learn how to do logistics. You'll learn how to set up a mini website. You'll learn how to create your own marketing materials. And you'll do that partially through creating that production company with colleagues in the Startup Lounge. It's early days, but already proving very successful. Thank you.